Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri is the new comedy drama written and directed by Martin McDonagh. He did In Bruges, he did Seven Psychopaths a few years ago. Stars Frances McDormand, Sam Rockwell, and Woody Harrelson, and tells the story of Frances McDormand plays this grieving mother whose daughter was murdered, and it's been months since the murder happened and no arrests, no progress on the investigation, so she decides to erect these billboards asking the cops why aren't they doing anything. So Nate Martin McDonagh, once again, is kind of comedy, drama, a mix of the two. So how do you think he handled that, balancing the drama and the comedy in this movie?
I think he handled it really well. That's where this director, I think he stands out with, he's a good director with actors. Not that his camera work's good too, but you can tell that he spends a lot of time with these actors to get the feel that he wants out of them. And man, this movie made me feel all sorts of things when it wanted to. I felt like it had complete control over my emotions.
Yeah, I think he did a good job balancing the comedy and drama as well. Now, this isn't, I think his movies are getting progressively less comedic. Not to say that they aren't as funny, it's just that they're less comedic. But this one, this is dealing with the aftermath of grief. And I think that along with the comedy and the drama, he really shined a light on anger and violence, and just how reactive we can be as human beings, and how when we place our blame or anger in one place, it could be misplaced. You know, you can think it's one thing caused this anger when it's really another thing, and it's just, it all kind of boils over. There's a lot of guilt and regret. People do bad things in this movie, but you can tell they're good people because they feel terrible about it.
Yeah, which was just really good on the director's part of making us still care about all these characters, because I found that this movie had multiple characters all at the ends of their ropes and how they deal with each other. They're all dealing with separate things that they just have to cope with, and they all sort of have to work together on that. And I think they did a really good job of pushing and pull the drama, once again with the comedy. But when the comedy landed, it was funny.
Yeah.
Like, this movie, I laughed out loud a few times.
Yeah, there are some really funny parts in this movie.
Yeah.
And there are also some really deep, sad moments too, but once again, you strike the good balance. You kind of build up the drama, and then you relieve it with a little bit of comedy, and then there's like a few scenes that are just playing out like a good comedic scene. But then, they lead to something more serious happening. So you never at any point really felt like you were watching a comedy or a drama. It was just like blended together very well.
Yeah, but it never lost the weight of what this movie was about. It always kept that, I don't know, it was very substantial, the weight to this movie. And I think that gives way to the acting. I mean, what do you think of the acting in this one?
Oh, acting in this one is top notch. I mean, Frances McDormand, once again, shines. I mean, I think this is some of her best work, even since Fargo. Yeah. She really carried how this, grieving mother, just in general, would react in these situations. Kind of feel like the world's against her, and she's looking for closure in this. Like, why was her daughter murdered? Why did this all happen?
I think that she did a fantastic job. I think that she's a great actress, and this movie starts right away with the billboards. You don't get much backstory, so you learn about these people through their actions, through their decisions, and through their emotions, and it's conveyed so incredibly well. I felt everything that she was feeling in this. And going forward, I did not find a bad performance whatsoever in this movie. I think it's just, hands down, really well acted. But Sam Rockwell stands out for me. I think that he should get Best Supporting for Oscars with this one. I think this is his best performance to me.
I think he did really well in Seven Psychopaths. He was my favorite part of that movie. And he shines again in this one. And even though his character is kind of deplorable and not a character you can really like and buddy up to.
He evolves.
He has I think he goes through the biggest arc as a character, and I think that his performance just shows how great Sam Rockwell is, and just how good of a transition this character was from seemingly evil to some redemption at the end.
Yeah, definitely. And then, of course, the Woody Harrelson. He's always, he's always great. And he had some of the more emotional scenes, and I think that he really can evoke emotion quite well. So yeah, top to bottom, I have no complaints about the performances. Sometimes, I think early on with Frances McDormand's scenes, like, I didn't know who she was right away. So some of the things she said, some of the decisions she made off the bat in the movie caught me off guard. And I was like, wow, like, she needs to stop being so mean. And then once you carry along with her, you're like, okay, looking back, yeah, she's about justified with all of these decisions. So I think it adds rewatchability of these performances of how good they actually are. But are there any beefs? You got any beefs with it?
I will say the pacing leaves a little bit to be desired. There are some moments where I've just found myself thinking like, all right, I feel like something needs to start happening, and it would. It wasn't at any point where I was just like, oh, come on, let's get it going. But there were moments where I was just feeling like it was slowing down a little bit, and the ending, it was left very ambiguous.
I didn't mind it. I kind of wish I would have had a little bit more closure with it. I will say that it is a little bit of a gripe for me is the ending. And that's because the pacing with individual scenes is fantastic in this. And I mean that with the comedy and drama being handled. But I think there was a slowdown at the end of the second act where it does take a little, it's starting to be like, okay, like the conclusion's coming. I was like, something's going to happen once you start discovering things. Up until then, the pacing was great to me. But then when the ending happened, it didn't really deliver anything. I felt like it just sort of carried that drag and then left me.
It's anticlimactic almost.
Yeah, and I just, which was fine. It doesn't take away too much from the movie whatsoever. I still think this is a great journey of a movie. But yeah, the ending, I could have used a little bit more.
Buffs.
So you heard our thoughts on 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Let's put a score to it. What did you think?
Once again, I was impressed by Mark McDonagh. I think that he not only is a great director, I think his dialogue is some of the best out there. And I'm glad that he's one of those filmmakers who takes time. He's about one movie every 5 years, and I'm fine with that. This is the kind of product that we get.
Yeah.
Really love the performances, good blend of comedy and drama. I was laughing, I was feeling things, and I'm walking away from this movie thinking about something, feeling something.
Yeah.
So it definitely made an impact. I'm going to give 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri an 8 out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that this movie was very impactful, very well done. Awesome performances across the board. And I think it's a movie that people should see. I really hope people go out and see this movie. I know there's a lot coming out, a lot of blockbusters and things like that around Christmas time.
Star Wars is coming.
Yeah, I just feel like this might be one that's missed until Oscar season rolls around and people are like, oh, I gotta see it before it leaves theaters. But go check this out. It is completely worth it, and you'll laugh a lot and you'll feel a lot at the same time. I'm actually going to go a little higher with an 8.5. I really enjoyed this movie. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, go check it out, especially if you're a fan of any of these actors. This is some of their finer performances, and I just really like what Mark McDonagh brings out of his actors.
Yeah.
Buffs. All right, so that's it for our review of 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. What'd you guys think of the movie? What'd you think of the performances? Mark McDonagh's great dialogue. Go ahead, leave a comment down below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate all the support at Cinema Buffs.
Yeah, back in 2015, we discussed with Random Ass Movie Reviews our most anticipated films for 2016. And what was yours?
One of them on there was The Disaster Artist.
Which is finally
coming. Here. I was hoping it would come out last December, but it's finally here.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it. It's... if Star Wars wasn't the week after it, like this would probably be my most anticipated movie of the year.
For sure.
Left on the list. But I can't wait to see it. I mean, people are talking Oscar buzz for Franco and his performance. And this is one of the movies that when Nate and I first met and the budding of our friendship, one of the first movies we discussed our love for. So we can't wait to see this.
No, so excited.
We'll bring you that review next week. But until then, don't forget,
there's no place like the theater.